And a good spiritual morning to you once again. I'm Father Cosmas.
I'm Pres Michelle.
Thanks for joining us today for a quick chat. And of course, our morning cup of coffee.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. It's good to have you with us after a long holiday weekend. We hope that you're doing okay.
Yeah, recovering from the weekend. And I've got this Kings Canyon National Park, the giant sequoias, mug here because some of us visited over the holiday weekend.
A couple of us drove down outside of Fresno and saw the really big trees. I think it's like General Sherman and General Grant, they call them.
The biggest, some of the biggest trees in the world, the oldest trees in the world. They were there when Christ walked the earth, right?
That blew me away. I saw the plaque and it said that the tree was 2,200 years old.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
it felt good to be outside. It felt really good to be outside after in the morning it's pretty cold.
It is a little chilly.
We won't complain to those of you
Don't complain.
east of us.
Yeah, and you've got your Carmel by the Sea mug. I've got this mug because I think a little aside, a little way to start the video, sort of saying there's a temptation now to start hunkering down. It's getting cold. And or for many of you in different parts of the country, it is cold. I mean, you saw the Bills game. Oh my gosh, Snow Bowl. So the tendency is, well, I just stay in my house and then from in the garage, get in my car, go to work, run to the store. Like we're not outside a lot.
Sit on the couch.
Right. Yeah. But it's always good in the spiritual life to get a little perspective of being outside. It's kind of a nice reboot emotionally and spiritually.
Yeah.
It's not super healthy to spend 24 hours a day indoors. It's good to get even 5 or 10 minutes.
Crisp air in your lungs.
Yeah, just get outside, even if it's just on your back porch or in your yard or a little bit out, just a little bit. If you can go for a walk. I mean, it's getting into the high 30s overnight, but it's still getting up to 60. Sorry for many of you in the country. I apologize.
You can go out at 4:15 and watch the sunset.
Right. You can go outside. And what, just it's a good kind of just an sidebar. Don't hunker down 100%. Get outside a little bit, as much as you possibly can, even if it's for a few minutes, just to take a deep breath, feel that cold air hit your lungs, reboot your system mentally,
God for another day,
and spiritually.
Yeah.
But so Thanksgiving, we wanted to reflect back and talk.
The weekend.
We were thinking about and the past Thanksgivings.
Yeah.
So favorite dish or memory growing up?
So I liked all the food. My aunt made a really great cranberry jello, and I like that.
That.
In the Midwest, we eat a lot of jello, which I don't think some people like, but I like that.
That was a culture shock for me going to the Midwest.
Like, why are there fruit or vegetables in jello?
Your jello is considered a vegetable on your plate because it's got carrots in it.
Thing.
But the
I
cranberry,
didn't like that one.
I like the cranberry one.
But my mom, we had many, many, many cousins, 20-some, 30-some cousins. And so Thanksgiving was a great day to meet up with some of my mom's siblings.
Okay. Big family.
Loved it. And one Thanksgiving in particular, I remember that there were so many people that were able to actually gather that day that we had to go to the VFW hall by my aunt's house because her house was too small to fit everybody. So you just
so Midwest.
Brought all the casseroles and the turkey and you went to the VFW hall and
that's great.
Very well, I had uncles who served in the war.
Of course. They all did.
My mom being the baby of the 10 was kind of young. But your favorite food or memory?
So
what do you got?
I'm youngest of 7. And so we just with immediate family,
there was enough of you.
That was enough. And we didn't have very big houses to go to. So we all fit fine, but that was at capacity. The nice thing about Greek families on American holidays is that they're going to make the American food, but they're also going to make Greek food. So
you get double?
There's way too much food. There's already too much food. But yeah, so my mom would always make, of course, the turkey and the stuffing. And my dad would make butternut squash. Like layered with brown sugar and stuff. That was his thing for some reason. But she also made dolmadas and she also made spanakopita. She also made the Greek stuff, which is what I loved. And so I have memories of that. But the funny thing is, and we haven't had turkey in forever, but I would always love like kind of the leftovers. I would love being, and even that night,
you kind
of go back. Yeah. But even more than like the turkey initially, I would love to go back and make a turkey sandwich.
That's nice.
And my mom would do this great thing after like a day or two where it's kind of like, okay, we're tired of the turkey. How many different ways can you eat turkey? Yeah. She would make like a bechamel.
I remember you telling me that.
And she would cut up the leftover turkey in little pieces, and she would kind of make like a gravy out of like a white sauce bechamel with the turkey and open-faced toasted sandwiches.
Wow.
And we would cut it up and eat it. And so great memories.
Memory has good food. Memory has good food. Good food brings back memories. Isn't that great?
Memory
I said that
has
backwards.
good food. Kill is going to Deborah you. So you're way out of, I don't know
Yoda.
what you're, right, reversing words. And so
That's great.
and it got us thinking about us hosting holidays. We were in Chicago
Family.
for almost 20 years. So obviously my family didn't come over. They're in LA, but we were
But
around
I
your
tortured
family.
him with my family coming over.
Which at the time was torture, let's be honest, in-laws. But now
Yeah.
looking back,
My aunts and uncle would come
they
over.
were
Yeah.
hysterical. And I miss the times of them coming over. At the time, it was a little tedious to deal with people and all of their little idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, old people have particular ways they want things
Very,
done.
very different. They
And
had
my
their
one
ways.
aunt loved to give you a hard time.
But she was
With
a
a
sweetheart.
smile on her face, yeah.
Yeah, but it was great. Aunt Shirley.
Yeah.
Aunt Shirley was great. And your other aunt and uncle, too,
Yeah.
Fran and Jerry, were great because this is the German side of the family.
Yes.
It's the German side. And so if we would say, oh, yeah, come over at 3, right, for whatever.
Yeah, you weren't ready for that.
I would look out. I mean, my family's going to show up at 3:45.
They're Greek time.
They're on Greek time. I'd look out the window and see Fran and Jerry sitting in the car at like 2:45. They're waiting because
They were on time.
They didn't know how traffic was going to be, so they left early to get there. But they're not going to show up. They're not going to come to the
They're not
door
gonna ring the
before
bell.
3. They would sit in their car in the street and wait 15 minutes. And I'd go out and say, please come in,
Yeah.
So
I bet you all have your memories too. That's what we're
they were
trying to say.
hysterical.
You
And your
gotta,
Aunt Shirley, who was,
Yeah.
would come by herself.
yeah. She was a widow. Yeah.
She was a widow.
Yeah.
And she was great because she was at a certain way she wanted her food, a certain way she wanted her drink.
Her cocktails,
I would
yeah.
make special food for other family members
Right.
of yours that were vegetarian. I would make a butternut squash soup
Right.
that was vegetarian for somebody else. And Fran would Shirley would preemptively say, I know I don't want that. And I would say, good, that's not for
I'm
you.
not making that
it's
for you.
somebody else. So you look back and sort of reflect back and say, wow, that was hysterical and I miss her. At the time, as
was
I'm
a
trying to
little
make
annoying.
10 different dishes,
Yeah.
it was a little trying. It was a little, sir, you try my patience. And anyway, I
We've
think,
all gone through that this past weekend.
Of
I'm
course.
sure most of the people that, yeah.
and when you're dealing with holidays, you're dealing with family, you're going to do that. So here's my clumsy segue into one of the top stories over the weekend.
Okay.
Which is the Biden story. Of course, President
We're
Joe
back to
Biden
Joe.
pardoning his son, Hunter Biden. And people wondering what my reaction or my take might be on that, because I've had a little fun at President Biden's expense, mostly just kind of flashing in some fun images of him at certain times in videos, because he's an easy target, because at this point he's kind of not all there.
He should be retired.
Right.
We'll leave
And
it.
I feel bad for the guy more than anything. And so you might think, how am I going to respond? Because some of the responses by some of the pundits that you'll see in different channels has been outrage, even by people on the left. This is undermining the justice system. This is, not what we expect of a public servant, and on and on and on and on. And the
But
reality,
you have a sweetness to it.
I
Come on.
really didn't. My initial reaction, and still my reaction, is I get it. 100%. I'm a dad. I've got 4 sons. There's no dad out there, there's no father out there that wouldn't do anything to protect his children. And if any of my kids got into any kind of trouble, God forbid that they would, of course, I would want to switch places with them immediately. So if you said, well, they're going to go to jail, and realistically, Hunter Biden is probably facing real jail time, maybe not a lot, but some felony charges here.
Yeah.
So if his dad can sign a piece of paper and say, no, make that go away, what dad is not going to sign that piece of paper?
Well, I think when you first said it to me and I didn't understand it, I was surprised a little bit by your response. I thought it was very kind. And then I thought, like you said, he's a dad first.
Right, that's the
thing. And he's
thing.
human and he's older and he's worried. And yeah, like we have
He's
to
a
humanize
person.
people that we put expectations on.
Right. We have these expectations. He's the president. He's the public servant. He's blah, blah, blah. He's a guy. Realistically, he's a person. And I think that's kind of the take home for everybody for this time of year, because
Yeah,
you have the
2 big
holidays.
holidays,
You
yeah.
just had the holidays. You're getting ready for another holiday or multiple holidays,
Yeah.
as it might work out, hopefully for you, that you can see family repeatedly. And when you're doing that and you're around people that you don't always spend time with, there's this temptation to hold them to a certain standard. And just remember, just try to remember Joe Biden. Just try to remember, no, these are just people.
Yeah, we're
Right.
human.
They're human. They have their own life. They have their own way, their own, I look back at the little dealings that I had with your Aunt Shirley, and I think at the time I was a little annoyed in a funny way. Later that night, I would laugh about it, and I can laugh now. but to sort of remember she was just a person. She was a widow. She was alone.
Yeah.
You know, she was coming to my house for the holiday. Cut her some slack.
Yeah.
You know, so for the people that are coming to you, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, kumbadi, whatever the in-laws, whatever they might be, they're just people. We
cut
all
them
have,
slack.
cut them some slack. We all have our faults. And in the spiritual life, it's a good thing to do that, to sort of just, apart from any sort of high theology and high spirituality of how you want to interact with people, just sort of remember they're just people. We're all sinners. We're not perfect. None of us are perfect. And to just try to have the love of Christ. Try to say, well, how would Christ interact and respond? And try to imitate that and sort of have that love of Christ and recognize, look, these are just people. They all have their faults. I have my faults. They have their faults. As much as I'm putting up with them, guess what? They're putting up with me. You sort of think you're perfect. They would have a lot of things to say about you.
Don't open that door.
Right. So I think it's just kind of a general thing to sort of say, hey, we're all just trying to get along. We're all just people. We have our faults. We have our strong points. And to just accept each other. And enjoy the time that we have together. If you're blessed to have family come over for the holidays or see them, that's a blessing. Not everybody has that. Enjoy it. And just sort of enjoy the entertainment value. Just sit back and say, wow, I can't believe that she really did that. That's hysterical. Don't be offended. Just sort of enjoy the entertainment value of people watching, kind of in a sense.
In your living room.
In your living room. It's a free show. It's dinner and a show.
In your kitchen. Yeah.
And the more fun that they act, the more entertaining it is. And sort of say, I'm not going to take that personally. That's just how they are. It's fun. And I want to, again, enjoy it, but have the love of Christ for them, not just on holidays, but each and every day.
Amen.